All right. Um, we'll put what Wikipedia has to say about it. We are now currently in the situation where the Second Amendment means the most. We have come to the point where, yes, Candace Bondurant may have to shoot someone, like she was talking about. She might literally have to. At this point, what surprises me the most is that there aren't more minorities working together. And they're not acknowledging that there are white people who are helping them. A lot of us are helping you. A lot of us understand that if we allow those rights that are supposed to be our rights, if we allow your rights to be violated in such a way, then it goes down in paper under a legal precedent. And that legal precedence means that in the next court case, they can say, look at this legal precedence that has been set. Obviously, that is legal. So it must be okay. It's not okay. Because you allow this to happen to black people. It's legal to happen to you. Because you allow this to happen to homeless people. It's legal to happen to you. Because you allow this to happen to Native Americans. It's legal for this stuff to happen to you. Because you sit lazily on your fucking pedestals. I'm not talking to just white people here, okay? I'm not. The Japanese, many of those soldiers, I mean, I watch a lot of documentaries. It's people talking about their experiences. And it's not all about the killing. Like when I watch the stuff about tanks, I'm interested in the machine. But the Japanese were just as racist as the Americans, if not more so, depending on which one of them soldiers you asked. And I mean which Japanese soldier that you asked. They were taught that they were superior, just as the Germans were taught that they were superior. And see, here's the thing, is that you and I are equals. That is how it is. You don't have to earn my respect. You get my respect. You earn my disrespect. So if I'm disrespecting you, you might want to think about why. You might want to try putting yourself in my shoes for a minute, or somebody else's for that matter. There are 5 times more hate crimes against the homeless than all other hate crimes combined in the United States. Yeah. Now, the Night of the Long Knives, I should also talk about Rosewood a little bit, but I already made a video on that. The Night of the Long Knives is where basically a bunch of racist Nazis who all hated Jews. They were taught to hate Jews. Taught to. Racism doesn't come naturally to anyone. Sexism does not come naturally to anyone. Nationalism does not come naturally to anyone. We are human beings and we recognize other human beings. We are taught that these certain people do this and these certain people do that. Christians worldwide, can I say that? No, I haven't been worldwide. I've been in the United States of America. And Christians here in the United States of America teach hate and intolerance towards other religions. They happen to be the majority. You want to worry about black people? You need to worry about Muslims. Not worry about Muslims hurting you. You need to worry that your fear and hatred because of your selective and chosen ignorance doesn't allow a legal precedent to happen against those people that can now be used against you. Oh, they can do this to Muslims. Hitler's day, it was the Jews, wasn't it? I'm about sick and tired of Christians. And that's sad to say. I grew up Christian. I grew up praying every day. What the fuck is this Dr. Seussian shit? I am sorry for getting all rhymey-dimey on y'all. These stories that I told, these true stories that I told before Natalie died and after Natalie died, there's hundreds of witnesses. Their testimony is on this YouTube and on my Facebook. Hundreds. Pretty important. Night of the Long Knives was when the SS and the SA went to war. Basically, half of the Nazi hierarchy went and killed the other half. You might want to read about it. Donald Trump wants to send the military in to shoot black people because a black person was killed by someone who works for the government, someone in a position of power. So you're going to amp it up a bit. You're going to pretend that it's in this man's memory, that you're going to go send the military to point guns at more black people. What the fuck? Donald fucking Trump, Jesus goddamn H fucking Christ. I mean, holy fucking shit, what is wrong with you? Yes, I threatened to kill Donald Trump to try to force the FBI, an outside agency, to take a look. I tried everything that I was told to do, and none of it worked. I tried those things repeatedly. They didn't work. I tried the methods that they told us to do when you're bullied as a kid in the system. I already knew that that didn't work, but I know that that's what we're taught, and that's what they teach today too. Not necessarily in the same order. As a kid, I saw firsthand when it did work. There was one case where that did work. There was one particular type of occasion and situation where it did work. You could literally actually commit crimes against people, actually bully kids in school, and get away with it if your parents came in and said, oh no, my kid wouldn't never do that. They'd come in and threaten to sue and hoot and holler and all sorts of crazy shit. And it don't matter what color. I've seen people and parents of all colors do that. It's not a race-specific thing. Jealousy is not specific to any race. Hatred, malice, love, lust, these are not specific to any one of your skin colors or nations of origin. This isn't specific to your religion. This is specific to being a human being. Now, a lot of people, and a lot of autistic kids, especially, you got two different types of parents. You got the parents who think that their kid's fucking retarded and want to abuse them into submission until they finally turn into a perfect, normally functioning human being. And then you've got the ones who understand. They know their children's emotions. They know the body language. They pay attention to their child. And especially if they're immobile and can't speak, you have to. Laura Nelson is on par with her son. All right? She knows that her son is intelligent. We have both known this for years before the school figured it out. Just because he can't speak doesn't mean that he's fucking retarded. Now, I want you guys to understand something. When I type that stuff that you guys want to go, oh, you're sexist, you're sexist, you're sexist. No, I'm not. I'm giving fair and equal treatment. Fair and equal treatment with Colin Kaepernick. All right? If someone is going to punch Colin Kaepernick in the throat for peacefully protesting, that person should be treated equal. You don't go punch somebody in the throat because you think they might, and you definitely don't go punching somebody in the throat for protesting for our human rights. If you allow a black person's rights to be violated, you have allowed all of our rights to be violated. We the people. If you allow this to happen to Native Americans, same thing. If you allow it to happen to homeless people, definitely, yeah. And the homeless, I mean, that's where they really show you that now the laws and the rules and the social bias and all of that crap isn't just for these groups. If you're a homeless white guy, you got to deal with the same rules. Now, where did we get those laws? We got those laws, the 13th Amendment and the Civil War. We also adopted at that time the Roman rental agreement. What's a rental agreement? That's where you pay way more than you should for jack shit. Many of the slaves in the South had nowhere to go. They ended up working the same plantations they'd been on their whole lives. They weren't paid enough to live on. They were paid less than they had been paid before. Does that make any sense? Because as slaves, they weren't paid. But as free people, you had to pay them. But then again, you don't pay them the amount that you're allowing them room and board for staying in the old slave quarters. Oh, well, I'll take $2-3 out for that. And you're only paying these people $5 a month if they're lucky. How you give them your money? You got to work longer hours. So you want a healthy slave, but if you got to pay them, you can't own them. You can't do whatever the hell you want with them. What's the purpose in having them, right? So they were used like cattle. Now everybody has to play with the Roman rental agreement. If you were homeless in the South after the Civil War and you were white, you could go to a chain gang, just like a black person. That law was made specifically just for black people, or so people thought. But no, they didn't just use it for black people. They used it for everybody. The more impoverished you have been throughout all of our history since the Civil War, lo and behold, you get to be the chain gang. Now, we modeled the chain gangs after Romans, very specific set of Romans, but we won't get into that. The Nazis modeled their work camps after our chain gangs. And we have modeled our prison system after the work camps, its forced labor camps, and concentration camps. See, here's the difference between the Germans and the United States. The United States capitalism, it's all about the money. Well, the Germans just got rid of all the Jews. We want to make a profit off of them. And we're not stuck in a big, huge war like that. Yeah, we can house them up like cattle for not having any money. They don't have any rights. They're not going to have any rights. And because of this, neither will you. I grew up in the system. Bobby Red typed, I think you understand a little about racism by being judged yourself before anyone knowing you. Mystical pineapple type of love from Australia. Until I was 4, I mean, I moved back and forth between my parents, you know. And I remember some tiny memories from that point in time. Of course, when you have to deal with messed up stuff like being in an institution or a bad foster home, and don't get me wrong, there are good foster homes. Okay, when a child is in an abusive situation, I have to make a judgment call. Are they going to be better off? What is the likelihood of them being better off if I call CPS? What is the likelihood of them not getting an abusive foster home? And what are the chances of the different types of abuse that there are? How severe is the abuse that they're in now? Is it going to be worse than that? Or is it bad enough that I need to risk it because there's a low chance of getting one of the extreme ones because you're already pretty close to the extreme scale? When you've lived through it your entire life, like I have, you are very good at risk assessment. That goes for Natalie, Alicia, all these people. The most terrifying thing about Natalie, she was the most high risk person I ever met. Look at the stupid shit that she did, you know? And look at the stuff she was trying to escape from by doing that stupid shit. Yeah, I wouldn't like my dad much either. But you know what? She had a lot of love. I got a lot of love too. I still love Natalie. I still love Alicia. I still love Candace and her kids. I still love Amy Spencer. I still love Randy Ingersoll. I still love my older brother. I still love Jamie and her son. Sure, I can't fucking help it. I'm stuck with it. You go, oh, you're a terrible person. You're probably a killer. You can't kill somebody when you love them. That's just not possible. But if you're infatuated with them and you think you're in love with them, well, that's where understanding these things a little better is important. I was pretty sure that Natalie had been shot because the 9mm thing when they said she was dead. But at the same time, like the cops weren't specific with me. But I pretty well figured out that, yeah, Natalie was shot by that 9mm. Down on their notes, right there on the table on the 29th of December, 2017. Right now, you're probably going, man, you're nice and calm and collected, and you know, you're talking pretty decent. You're not screaming, you're not getting too excited, and so on and so forth. I'm tired as fuck. I'm in a comfortable environment. I got the low income so that everything is all legal so that I can do all the legal stuff I need. Having a driver's license again, I'm probably not safe to drive for extended distances. That's for absolutely sure. Too much time on the road gives me too much time in my head. That's part of the reason the therapy here in Nebraska, when I was living in Kennedy, it was in Colorado, it wasn't doing me any good. I mean, I drive all the way up here, 2.5 hours to my therapy appointment, and then I drive 2.5 hours back. I've just spent 5 hours stuck in my head, reliving all of these shitty experiences. A lot of people have done things that were really nice that triggered me. I got this little scratchy set. I got that from a lady who works at the courthouse. Her name is Polly Olson, and she's part of my stories. The problem is anything having to do with Virginia triggers me. The word Norfolk, the word Virginia itself, it brings me back to that. That's instantly where my emotions, right there, right back to it. I need positivity in real life to be around positive people. A lot of these people that I've been with, I mean, this guy here, he's pretty depressed most of the time I've been here. Depressed. And I'm sure he's got his reasons. Most of the people around here are downtrodden and depressed. The ones that aren't have friends and they go visit their friends. Yes, friends are important. Your loved ones are important. Some of them don't have many friends, but they have family. Family is important. But if they didn't have their friends or their family, they would be a lot worse off than me because they're not used to it. They don't understand what that feels like emotionally. Whereas me, I've known what that's like emotionally since I was a kid. You move out of your parents at 18 with blessings and some money in your pocket, some help and a vehicle and a driver's license. And you get scared your first days of college. I don't get to go to college. I got stripped away from my parents at 4 years old. It's a lot different. Um, Mystical Pineapple, I'm trying to tell the whole story. The problem is that there's a lot to it. I mean, I've told the story as much as I could in blocks and pieces of where they were going on. But then there's also all of this stuff that goes along with it that all ties in, and it's all over the place. It's a very confusing thing to deal with. Um, it's not that it's confusing as in mentally ill, blah, 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 but I mean, there's just a lot of it. There's a lot of it. And for me, I got most of it, understood in my head what time things happened around the days that things happened and stuff like that. But exact dates, I'm not going to know those. And you're going to pretend I'm a liar if I'm like, well, it was around the 24th. I think it was late September. Well, you lied to us. It was in October. I'm sorry about that. I mean, I am sorry about that. The first thing to go when I'm under stress is names and numbers. And then there's the fact that I don't remember my codes. I have to type them out one at a time. But I don't do it like this. Do you know why? I'm one of these guys. Yeah. The Night of the Long Knives. I mean, you can look at the bright side. They got rid of half of the bad guys. Unfortunately, they consolidated the power into less people. And those less people controlling everything and giving it all to some human being as if he's a god. And I mean that from both Adolf Hitler and Emperor Hirohito. Now, here's something that I do want to know, because I am extremely tired and I might have gotten that wrong. Emperor of and World War II. Hirohito. Yep, it's Emperor Hirohito, 1901 1989. He had to abdicate his throne. Terms of surrender. Donald Trump's not a god. Him trying to incite violence against black people in the memory, the honor of a black man who was killed by an officer. We're gonna have cops killing cops here soon. I hope you understand that. We've already got a little bit of it, mostly stupidity and ignorance at this point. But yeah, there are gonna be police officers who go, "Yeah, I'm not gonna kill any black people." There are going to be soldiers who are going to refuse to point their guns at black people. That could get messy. Now, we're not at war, so wartime rules should not apply, correct? That doesn't mean that Donald Trump won't say so. That's Jamie's magical power. She just says so and it happens because she's pretty. It's not exactly like that. She has to do a lot of work to manipulate whatever she wants. But you kind of get what I'm saying, right? Even a little bit. You're right. Trauma and stress do make timelines hazy for sure. But the other thing is, for the most part, I know which order it happened in. I've been looking through the evidence, recollecting the evidence because it keeps getting stolen by people. I mean, it's been a process. It's been like every time that I think I'm making progress, I get thrown back a fucking yard. 10. You know, I mean, it's screwed up. The difference between capitalism and a totalitarian dictatorship, which is what Nazi Germany was, it's whether or not you're making a profit off of your slave labor. That's really what it comes down to. Did the Germans make a profit off their slave labor? No. No, they didn't. They bankrupted their economy. They ran out of food. And they eventually ran out of hope. Thank goodness. Thank goodness they were laid to rest. Thank goodness their terrorism was ended at that point in time in Germany, and Germany is lucky. They are lucky. Because while the Nazi Party is gone in Germany, the United States, the current United States government is modeled after Nazi Germany with a capitalist twist. The further we go along, the smaller the big group gets, and the bigger the small group gets. Yay!